March is here, everybody. Hello, I am Krista. Welcome to Middle Grade March, and welcome to one of my favorite things that I do every year for Middle Grade March, which is put together this collab video of recommendations from across BookTube. I have here a handful, more than a handful, a couple handfuls of booktubers who are going to join me for a minute or two each to share a recommendation of middle grade books that they have loved. So open up Goodreads, grab a pen and paper, open your notes app in your phone, wherever you keep your TBR lists, because you are going to find some fantastic books that you can't resist adding to your TBR. I hope you enjoy.
Friends, my name is Hannah from the Teacher's TBR here on YouTube, and Krista has asked me yet another year to recommend a middle grade book that I absolutely love, and this year my recommendation follows one of the prompts, which is a book with a name in the title. My recommendation for you is Ida B by Catherine Hannigan. This is actually one of my childhood favorite books. I grew up loving Ida B, and I read this several times when I was in middle school, and I loved it so much, but the real magic happened when I picked it up as an adult and fell that much more in love with it. This book is following our main character, Ida B Applewood, and Ida B has the most fun personality as a little girl. She is just so much fun, and she loves everything outdoors. She is a huge fan of nature. She's always with the trees and the brook, and she's just always outside. When all of a sudden something happens in Ida B's life that sadly turns it upside down, and it really is just Ida B's journey in trying to figure out how to move forward, how to still continue to love life while dealing with such hard things. This does deal with a couple of harder topics, I say, for a middle grade, so I would just kind of be aware of that going in, but I promise you, you will fall madly in love with Ida B just as much as I did, and you will be rooting for her every step of the way. Happy reading.
Michele from Michele and Reads, and I'd like to recommend a middle grade book with a name in the title, and that is Summer of June by Jamie Sumner. This is one of my favorite middle grade authors, and this was the first book that I read from her. June is a young girl who deals with anxiety, and I can relate to that because I definitely deal with anxiety and have since I was younger. And I think it's a great representation of anxiety in kids and how other friends can help with it, how parents and adults can help and also hinder dealing with anxiety. So I highly recommend The Summer of June.
Hey guys, this is Laura from Laura's Lovely Library. I am so incredibly excited and honored to be giving you a recommendation for middle grade March today. So for those that know me, you guys know I don't read middle grade all too often, but I do have an absolutely incredible recommendation for you guys, and I'm hoping to be able to recommend so many more after middle grade March this year. Anyway, my recommendation, we are also going to check off a prompt here. We have name in the title, Orson the Great by Com McElwain. Guys, this one literally shocked me on so many levels. The magical elements in this book, we have a 10-year-old magician that we follow. The familial aspects in here were just incredible. The suspense, guys, for a middle grade, this does the suspense so well. Like, it has you, it's age appropriate, but it has you sitting on the edge of your seat, and I absolutely loved it. And then we have a magic competition. And in this magic competition, Orson is competing for the greatest magic title of all time. And it takes you on a ride. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I hope you guys pick it up and give it a go. I can't wait to see everyone else's recommendations and be reading along with you guys in March.
Hello, my name is Kay from the channel Kay's Library. I usually talk about Christian fiction books. Krista, thank you so much for asking me to be in this little recommendations video. I feel so honored. My favorite middle grade book is actually Nevermore by Jessica Townsend, and I think this can fit the prompt for a name in the title because the actual series is called The Trials of Morrigan Crow. And this book is about this girl who is cursed to die on her 11th 11th birthday. Morbid, I know. When her 11th birthday comes around, something really interesting happens. This eccentric man shows up at her house and whisks her away, and she gets entered into a competition to go through a set of trials. And this book is just so fun. It's hilarious, full of laughter, adventure, and some of the most unique characters you'll ever read. I hope you pick this one up, and I hope you absolutely love it.
My recommendation for middle grade March is The Civil War of Amos Abernathy. Amos is a real history buff. In fact, he's been volunteering at the county's living history site for basically as long as he can remember. When Amos develops a crush on one of his fellow volunteers, he starts to wonder if the living history site has any experience of people like him, queer people in history. As he comes to terms with his own identity and his feelings for Ben, he also starts to research Albert, a Union soldier during the Civil War who might have been trans. Amos starts writing letters to Albert, so there is some epistolary content in the book, and he's confiding all his hopes, his dreams, his worries, his concerns to this person from the past that he hopes can understand him. When the living history site starts taking pitches for a new exhibit, Amos decides that it is time to shine some light on Albert's story and others like him, and this project really starts to unite a divided town.
Hey everyone, I'm Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails, and today I'm sharing the book Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. This is a middle grade book about a woman named Winnie, and she runs into this family in the middle of the woods behind her house. Well, this family holds a very deep secret where they are living pretty much forever. They're immortals, and she needs to try to decide, is she going to become like they are, or is she going to stay in her own world? So it's kind of a battle between her really trying to decide, should I or should I not join this family, and trying to figure out her values in her life. Really enjoyed it. It's one of my absolute favorite middle grades, and you should check it out.
Hi everyone, I'm Angie with Cover Spines and Pages, and my middle grade March recommendation is Deanie by Judy Blume. This fits the name in the title prompt and is about a 7th grade girl who is diagnosed with scoliosis. It does a really good job of talking about topics such as disability and about coming of age during a diagnosis of a disability, and also about how parents can put pressure on kids to be what they want them to be. I enjoyed this book very much when I was in middle school, and I'm going to put this on my TBR for middle grade March so that I have the chance to read it again. Thank you, Krista, Katie, and Amanda for putting on middle grade March so that we can all enjoy these books together. And thank you for inviting me to be part of this project. Have a great readathon.
Thanks, Krista, for letting me pick another favourite book for middle grade March. I have gone with a book that has books on the cover, and it's the Pages & Co. book series. This is book 1. It's by Anna James, and this is Tilly and the Book Wanderers is book 1. Now this is the cover, right? But wait till you see it naked. It's cozy, it's set in a British bookshop. You have Tilly, who stays with her grandparents, who run Pages & Co. bookshop, and she has a special power that allows her to wander within books. Imagine going for tea with Alice in Wonderland. And ensues a whole range of adventures, and this is book 1 of at least 6, if I'm right. And honestly, it is utterly delightful. I highly recommend.
Okay, I'm hopping back on because this category, for some reason, books on the cover, seems to be the hardest category to find books for. So I wanted to make sure to give a couple more options for you. The first one I have is Leave It at Last by Sarah Pennypacker. This is a book that we read for our middle grade March book club last year, and we really loved it. And if you look right here, there's a little boy reading a book in the corner. If you like Matilda, this might be a book that you enjoy picking up. We follow Leva, who has horrible parents who don't care about her at all, don't care what happens to her. And Leva is kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place with her family. but she finds strength and solace and friendship and love through the library and the librarians at the library, and of course from books as well. So it's a delightful story of books and how libraries are important, and we follow Leva as she makes friends for the first time and just kind of figures out how to work through some of the problems that she has to face on a daily basis. It's a delightful little book with wonderful illustrations, and I think you will love it. And then also, I have one that's quite different. It's a little more historical. We have The Beatrice Prophecy by Kate DiCamillo. Kate DiCamillo is one of my favorite middle grade authors, and you can see Beatrice is holding a book right here. But Beatrice is hiding out from people who are chasing her, and we find out why. And this one takes place in medieval times, and she disguises herself as a monk at one point, and there's a goat in here. There's humor and heart and intrigue, and I think that this is such a fun read by Kate DiCamillo, something different from some of her other books. She's the queen. I love it. So maybe The Beatrice Prophecy is something that you would want to pick up as well. Happy reading.
Hi, I'm Jen from Pages and Chaos, and the lovely Krista has asked me to help with a recommendation for middle grade March. And the book that I have for you is Echo. I read this last year, and I still cannot get this out of my head. This was a 5-star for me. If you want a book about resilience, about hope, a little adventure, and even some magical, fantasy little elements linked in it, I definitely recommend Echo. Echo follows 3 different storylines of Frederick, Ivy, and Mike, and each one of them has a different aspect of their story with World War II. And each one of these stories seems to be linked by this magical harmonica that has a prophecy linked to it. I fell in love with this. I also recommend that if you pick up Echo, you pick up the audio as well, because there are points where they have music in the book and they play that in the audio. Now, Echo will fit 3 of the prompts for middle grade March this year. It is written by a BIPOC author because Pam Munoz Ryan is of Mexican heritage. Echo is also a historical fiction, and there's story lines of siblings in this. So I really hope that you enjoyed this just as much as I do.
Hello, Bushmans. I want to recommend a book that you can use for middle grade March for the prompts of both a book with a name in the title and also a historical fiction middle grade book. The 1981 novel Goodnight, Mr. Tom by Michele. This book is set during World War II and follows a shy, abused boy named William Beach, who is evacuated from London to the English countryside. He is taken in by Tom Oakley, a gruff but kind elderly man living in the village of Little Weirworld. I read this middle grade book 2 years ago, and I really enjoyed this very emotional middle grade novel. I really loved the sweet found family relationship between Will and Mr. Tom, as well as all of the local community in that town. I highly recommend this book if you want to read a bittersweet middle grade novel that is set in World War II.
Well, hey everyone, my name is Jonathan from the channel Mr. Pearson Talks Books, and I have a historical fiction recommendation, and that is the book Westfallen by Anne and Ben Brashares. And this is the story of 2 groups of children, one that lives in 1944 and one that lives in present day, who are able to talk to each other via a radio that the group in the present found buried in the backyard. And so they start communicating to each other and inadvertently change the course of history. And as a result, instead of living in the United States, the Germans won World War II, and now the kids in the present live in a country called Westfallen. And they have to figure out what they did in order to fix it. This is a great book. There's also a sequel called Westfallen Into the Fire. And this is, again, about life in Westfallen and what that means for the kids who are Jewish, the kids who are partly Jewish, and what it'd be like if your parents were actual Nazis and still trying to figure out how to correct history. So that is Westfallen and Westfallen Into the Fire, both by Anne and Ben Brashares. And again, my name is Jonathan. My channel is Mr. Pearson Talks Books, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, my name is Alma, and I have a channel on BookTube called Alma's Book Journey. I wanted to go ahead and recommend 2 books for you. So the first one is for the prompt name on the title, and that is Carry On Mr. Bowditch. Now, we read this in our homeschool with my daughter, and I adored this book. I really loved it. I had never read it before, and it was for our history because we were doing early American history. And so this tells the story of young Bowditch and his life. And he is a young man that, under circumstances, he is an indentured worker in his time period. But what I really loved about this book is that even though he had, living in hard times, that did not stop him. He wanted to learn, and he wanted to educate himself. He had a passion for it. It was just a wonderful story in his life and everything. And so I highly recommend this one so much. So that counted for the name. And then the one for a book that has siblings in it, I don't have the book. I'll put it up here. It's called We Dream of Space. And this is about, and it also counts for the historical fiction part. Also, Bowditch counted for historical fiction as well. This one, We Dream of Space, is set around the time period when Space Shuttle Challenger went up in, I believe, 1984. And it was the tragic accident that happened when the Challenger exploded shortly, minutes after takeoff. And so our story is following the lives of, I think there's 3 siblings in school at that time. And I remember this so well because I was in school when that happened. So it really resonated with me. And so this story is about those siblings, and you have a story with each one of the siblings is going through different things, and then how they react to what happened. Really good. Such a good story. So those are the 2 books that I wanted to recommend to you all for Middle Grade March. And thank you again, Krista, for putting this together.
My name is Layla, and my channel is Layla's Bookshelf, and I'm so excited to be included in one of these videos again this year. And when I saw all of the challenges, I immediately thought of a book when I saw siblings and historical fiction. So the book that I'm going to recommend to you today is Ballet Shoes by Noelle Streatfeild. And I read this book when I was in middle school, and I've even reread it now as an adult, and I still love it just as much. And it's about 3 girls who, I believe it's World War I era, and they are siblings, but because they were orphans. So they were all orphans that were adopted by this man that they call Great Uncle Matthew. And Great Uncle Matthew gives these sweet young girls a chance to see what show business is like. So they go to a ballet school and they delve into theater, and it's just about these 3 little girls and kind of how they are maneuvering what show business is like, and how they're able to get jobs and support their family doing things like being in large-scale theater productions and getting, gigs on movies and films and things like that. And there's a lot of discussion about socioeconomic status as well as war and just things going on in the early 1900s that were affecting theater and dance and the film industry. I highly recommend it.
What Fell from the Sky by Adriana Cuevas meets both your historical fiction and your BIPOC author prompts for Middle Grade March 2026. So the historical fiction, 1950s in Texas, the craziest thing happened. I really could not believe it reading it. I was just like, our country is so wild. I can't believe they did this. And just like 75 years ago. So they staged this military invasion on this town in Texas. And they have stuff falling from the sky for their military invasion. And it's ruining people's fences for their farms and all their property. And then also they take the mayor captive, and it's just such a mess. So these kids, their lives are going on and they're trying to figure out, what the heck is going on with the military. So then also, one of the things that falls from the sky, we've got some science fiction going on. This blue alien girl falls from the sky, and these kids find her, and they're trying to help her stay away from the military, for one, because the military, of course, would love to get their hands on her, and then also get her to safety where she can get back to her family and have everything be okay. It is such a fun, just wild story. I love it so much. I love how Adriana Cuevas she keeps things fast-paced and moving and fun and a little bit funny and just a really interesting story. I think you're going to love it.
Hi friends and fellow bibliophiles, I'm Kat of Kat's Novel Adventures, and I'm excited to share with you one of my favorite books by a BIPOC author, and that book is Hide and Seeker by Dacre Herman. Justin knows that something is wrong with his best friend Z. He's been missing for a year, and no one knows what happened to him. At Z's welcome home party, Justin and the neighborhood crew play hide and seek, but something goes wrong, horribly wrong. One by one, everyone who's playing the game disappears. They're pulled into a world of nightmares where all they can do is hide from the seeker. This novel is fast-paced, it's suspenseful. I love the characters, Justin, Z, Nia, and Lyric. I love their amazing friendship, as well as the lengths that they go to protect one another. If you enjoy scary middle grade books, I think you would enjoy Hide and Seeker. Happy middle grade March and happy reading.
Hi everyone, it's Nicky from My Messy Bookshelf, and I wanted to share a book that features both a BIPOC author and a beautiful relationship between siblings. This is a dystopian middle grade called The Last Cuentista by Dana Barba Higuera, and in this book we are following young Pedra, who is a young girl who loves stories, specifically the Mexican folklore stories that her grandmother tells to her. Pedra and her family are given the opportunity to escape Earth from an impending comet that is coming to destroy Earth. During the 400-year journey, they are placed in a sort of stasis kind of state. And when Pedra wakes up, when they get to their new planet, she finds that her family is missing and no one else but she remembers Earth. So Pedra sets out to find out what happened to her family, specifically her brother, and to share the stories of Earth because no one remembers. This was a beautiful story if you like dystopian, if you love stories, if you like that kind of sci-fi aspect. But if you love a beautiful story about family, I really recommend this one, and I hope that you are considering picking this one up because it was wonderful.
Laken, and a book that I want to recommend for middle grade March is a book with siblings, and that is Theater Shoes. I hear a lot of people talk about Ballet Shoes, which Noel Stratfield also wrote, but I actually liked Theater Shoes more. This follows 3 siblings who were sent to live with their grandmother during World War II. She was a famous actress, and she decides to send them to a theater school, and each of the siblings end up finding a love for different things there. I think one of them likes to sing, one of them likes to act, one of them might like to dance. This is also the school that is in Ballet Shoes, so we also get to see the siblings from that book too as they're older now. This is also part of the shoe books that Kathleen Kelly talks about in You've Got Mail. If you're looking for a classic type book, because this definitely felt like a classic to read for middle grade March, I would definitely recommend this one.
Hi everyone, my name is Nat and my channel name is called Novels with Nat. Thank you so much, first of all, to the hosts of Middle Grade March for inviting me to participate. This is very exciting. While I'm not typically a huge middle grade reader myself, it was actually perfect timing because I'm currently about halfway through my reread of my favorite middle grade series from when I was a kid, and that is the series of Unfortunate Events. This is the first book in the series. It's called The Bad Beginning, and I think I'm currently on book 7 in the series on my reread. So what I love so much about this book and series is that I feel like it is just the perfect balance between a pretty dark core theme that's just perfectly offset with just a really humorous and witty narration, and it's just got such over-the-top characters, and it's just such a fun ride to be on. So while I know this book is very popular, I would highly recommend it if you have not yet read it, but also I think if you have read it, maybe this is your sign that it's time for a reread. All right, happy reading everyone, and happy middle grade March.
Hi, my name is Tiffany and my channel name is Beautiful Minutia, and I wanted to take a moment to recommend a book to you that features sibling relationships really prominently. That book is actually the first of a quartet, so if you love this book, there's more for you to choose from. So that particular book is The Saturdays by Elizabeth Enright, in which we follow 4 siblings. The children are growing up in New York City in like the early 1900s. In this particular book, the 4 siblings are tired of spending their allowance on things that end up being nothing. And so they decide what they're going to do is they're going to pool all their allowance money together for each week. So once a week on Saturday, there is one sibling who gets to take all the allowance money and get to do one really fun thing. So since there's 4 Saturdays in a month, they each get an opportunity. Elizabeth Enright is probably the very best author that I have ever read who depicts childhood in a way that is just so perfect and makes you feel so nostalgic for your own childhood. I feel like she just captures the way that you feel and imagine and spend your time as a child so well. I hope that you will pick this book up. I hope you'll enjoy it. There's lots of laughter and heartfelt moments to find along the way.
Hey there, my name's Jules and my channel is Jules Books and Things, and I am happy to be here to recommend a book for middle grade March. The book I'm going to recommend is The Sisters Grimm, The Fairy Tale Detectives by Michael Buckley. This will work for the prompt to read a book featuring siblings. This is book 1 in the series. There are 9 books total. In this story, we are following sisters Sabrina and Daphne, and their parents have mysteriously disappeared, so they are sent to live with their grandmother in Fairyport Landing. There they are told about their family history and that they are ancestors to the famous Brothers Grimm, and that the classic fairy tales are actually a collection of case files of magical mischief. The Grimm family is tasked with keeping track of all the mysterious magical things that are happening. So in this story, we have the giant and Jack and the Beanstalk and something that happens with their grandma that they have to try and rescue her. There are plenty of other fairy tale characters that are mentioned in this. The writing is just so creative and fun. So if you enjoy fairy tales, fantasy, and a side of mystery, then I think that you would love this book.
Hello book friends, I'm Jen from Jen's Reading Life, and I'm excited to be back again this year to share a recommendation for middle grade March. Thank you so much, Krista, for inviting me back. And for this year, I am bringing you a 2-for-1 because this is actually a duology, and I don't really feel like I can separate my love for these 2 books. And these 2 books would fit into the prompt of a book with siblings in it. And the duology that I'm referring to is Gone Away Lake and Return to Gone Away by Elizabeth Enright. I came to both of these books as an adult, and I found them to be such nostalgic reads. They are very reminiscent of childhoods gone by. In Gone Away Lake, we are following our main character, Portia. She and her brother, Foster, are on their way to spend the summer with their aunt, uncle, and their cousin, Julian. And Julian's really almost more like a brother to them than a cousin. And he and Portia are of similar age. They like to spend the summers exploring the surrounding areas. And this particular summer, they stumble upon a old kind of abandoned community, and it surrounds what used to be a lake and is now really just a bog, and they have all kinds of adventures when they discover this hidden community. And they also make 2 new friends in the form of an elderly brother and sister named Uncle Pindar and Aunt Minnehaha. And I absolutely adored my time at Gone Away Lake, but I have to say, I think I adored my time at Return to Gone Away even more. In this, Portia and her family are returning to Gone Away for good. They are going to live there, and there is so much wonderful domestic details in Return to Gone Away as they open up this abandoned house that they have purchased, as they discover all of the secrets in its nooks and crannies and its history, and it is so lovely. If you enjoy old houses and books, I know that I do, then Return to Gone Away is a sure winner. But you can't go wrong with either of these wonderful books featuring siblings for middle grade March. Happy reading!
Hi, I'm Danielle from the channel Bookburger. I hope you will pop on over there sometime and say hello to me. And I would like to thank Krista for inviting me to give you guys a recommendation for middle grade March. So the book that I chose is something that is going to fit a couple prompts, and she said you can double up. That's part of the rules. And so that will be helpful for you guys in that way. And also, if you are somebody who likes something a little bit creepy, but maybe you don't want to go full on creepy, but middle grade creepy you can handle, well then I think I've got a perfect book for you. This is actually one of my absolute favorite books from childhood, and so I'm excited to share with you guys. It is Wait Till Helen Comes by Mary Downing Hahn. 12-year-old Molly and her 10-year-old brother Michael have never liked their younger stepsister Heather. Ever since their parents got married, she's made Molly and Michael's life miserable. Now their parents have moved them all to the country to live in a house that used to be a church, with a cemetery in the backyard. If that's not bad enough, Heather starts talking to a ghost named Helen and warning Molly and Michael that Helen is coming for them. Molly feels certain Heather is in some kind of danger, but every time she tries to help, Heather twists things around to get her into trouble. It seems as if things can't get any worse, but they do when Helen comes. So yes, definitely one of those books that stuck with me from childhood that I still enjoy. This will cover name in the title because Helen, and also siblings featured because this is a book about two siblings and their step sibling. So that fits two of the prompts. And also something fabulous about this book, it's not very long. So if you'd like to read multiple books for middle grade March, this might be the perfect one to add to your list. So I hope that this was helpful. And if you do end up reading this, I hope that you'll come over to my channel and let me know about it and what you thought of it. So thank you again to Krista. I hope you guys enjoy Middle Grade March.
Hello, my name is Heather from The Reading Mama, and today I want to share with you Beneath the Swirling Sky by Layla. Now, this book is one that my kids and I have loved as a read aloud, and I love reading the series myself as well. This is a sweet middle grade fantasy set in modern times where the children and families can travel through paintings. Yeah, Narnia-esque kind of. And they can travel through paintings, but along with that, you have an adventure and a mystery as this family is some of the last remaining restorationists who can restore paintings and help make them back to what they were originally intended by the artists. But there are distortionists out there who are trying to dismantle it and cause anarchy throughout the world. And there is just a lot of little things going on in the background. So I hope you will try Beneath the Swirling Sky. It is wonderful and it has some great, sweet little art sprinkled throughout this middle grade novel.
Hi. I don't know if you can hear them all, but there are crows above me. And that's perfect to introduce the book I want to talk to you about, which is Wildwood. My name is Jenna. I have a channel called Books Love Jenna. Stop by if you want to. I'm very excited that Krista asked me to recommend a book, and I'm going to recommend this one that features siblings. This is an epic adventure, the first in a trilogy, but it can be read as a standalone. It's by Colin Malloy and illustrated by his wife Carson Ellis. It's a beautiful book, and this features siblings in that Prue, our protagonist, is tasked with caring for her brother when suddenly he's taken by a murder of crows into the wild wood. What will happen? Read it and find out.
Thank you so much for watching, and thanks so much especially to all of those who participated by sending me a clip of a book that they love. I'm so excited to get this video out to you, and I hope that you found some good books to add to your TBR, and I also hope that you found some new booktubers that you were not aware of that you want to now check out their channels and hopefully subscribe and send them some love and connect with other readers. I would love to hear down in the comments below if you found a new book to add to your list, or 2 or 10, and also some new booktubers as well. Let's chat in the comments down below, and do check out the description for links to all the books as well as links to all of these wonderful people who spent their time with us today. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you have a wonderful reading month in March. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.